Sherry Earl, 52, adjunct faculty, BYU. I got my MA here in creative writing at BYU and started teaching as a graduate student, actually, in 1993 in the fall. So I've been teaching for almost, I guess I'm going into my 19th year at BYU. This I Believe class is really a class designed to help freshmen figure out what their core beliefs are, and even to figure out what a paradigm or a core belief, what it is and what it does, how it affects our choices and our lives in general. I got the idea a long time ago, actually, when This I Believe was resurrected. It was an old radio program back in the 50s, and they resurrected it, and people started submitting their stories, and these stories were about paradigms or core values that they have. A paradigm is really what I would call it, a framework or that you structure that holds all of your different beliefs. For instance, if you tend to be, some of the broad paradigms would be things like justice and mercy, for instance. And these are collections of specific essays. Some are from, you know, the man or the woman on the street, or in some cases the young child. There are a few of those. And also famous people from the earlier radio programs too. Why did I choose this? You mean This I Believe? I could choose any topic to teach, but you're wondering why I chose this.
Why that?
Because one of the problems that I think most new students have is thinking through their own paradigms. Paradigm shifts are really difficult to achieve. Have you noticed that? You know? For instance, our paradigm here on campus, one of the broad paradigms is religion, a very specific religion, right? The LDS religion. It's difficult for us to shift from that paradigm to someone else's paradigm. It's difficult for us to understand that. There are multiple paradigms at play here. And if young people can understand that, and they can see their own paradigms and see others' paradigms, or at least make a stab at seeing others' paradigms, then you can actually freely communicate. You can actually learn something instead of setting up camps. Instead of saying you are the Antichrist, you can say, okay, I see where you're coming from. This is your paradigm. Well, this is mine. How can we negotiate our paradigms? You know, and really communicate. My name is Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice, except I don't like Beatrice. I just like B, and that's all. So that's the same paragraph you'll read in every one of the kindergarten books. I go to kindergarten. My room is named Room 9. There are lots of rules in that place, like no shouting, and no running in the hall, and no butting the other children in the stomach with your head. My teacher's name is Mrs. She has another name too, but I just like Mrs., and that's all. Last week, Mrs. clapped her loud hands together. Then she made an announcement to us. Announcement is the school word for telling us something very important. Boys and girls, may I have your attention, please, she said. Today is going to be a special day in Room 9. We're going to be talking about different careers you can have when you grow up. Yeah, only guess what, I said. I never even heard of that dumb word careers before, and so I won't know what the heck we're talking about. Mrs. made squinty eyes at me. A career is a job, Junie B., she said. And please raise your hand before you speak.
How has this class helped you figure out what you believe? Has it at all?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, it raises my awareness, and I think a lot more in terms of, okay, why do I believe that? And I can trace my belief systems and how I've changed and how those paradigms have shifted from the time I was very young as a teenager through college and marriage and children and you know, experiences in my life. Yeah. So it's made me much more aware. Much more aware. Teachers always learn so much more, I think, than their students do. You know, or at least as much. I have had to work so many years to overcome fear. I respond with fear first. President Hunter said, and I love this, I would love to have this on a huge, you know, like mural. I should paint this. Instead of that, I should paint. He said, let's not take counsel from our fears. And when I heard this in his biography, you know, a few years ago, I would say the faith-fear thing, the faith-fear paradigm, is that's definitely a big issue for me still. And it's not so much faith and fear as it is, who do you have faith in? Do you have faith in yourself and in you know, people and sort of mortal mechanisms, or do you have faith in those things that you can't always see? You know, you don't see that safety net, therefore don't have faith that it's going to hold you when you fall. You know, so I would say that's probably one of my biggest driving forces. So it's not that it's important to have beliefs, because we can't help that. What's important is to grow in your beliefs, to mature, and to find paradigms that actually ultimately are going to work for you, to make you happy, but also to serve others around you. So, and that's a paradigm in and of itself. So I think it's important to be deliberate in the beliefs that you decide to live by, you know, and to examine those often, which is one of the reasons I think this conversation is important. It doesn't have to be a class, it just needs to be a conversation. I made a huge leap in understanding from the time I was a teenager to the time I graduated college. And then, of course, you know, every year, you know, as I teach, every semester as I teach and I read and I prepare to teach my students, I continue to learn. And so that's why they're here. If students are here, or they're learning in some other venue, then they're going to have these conversations with other people who want to learn. And they don't have to, you know, they don't have to take a class to do that. They just have to be aware, and they just have to have a desire to change. Ugh, that's so hard. Don't wait till you're in your 50s. It's not good. But listening to these stories you remember listening to them tell their own stories on this website. It makes an impact, you know, and people want to say, is that what I believe? And that's the whole point, I think, of this project. Yeah. Understanding, but also to say, wow, I don't know if I agree with you, but that's an interesting paradigm. Or, wow, that's what I believe. You know.